Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll be talking about what Wendigos are. One of the most ravenous, terrifying, and complex beings in mythology and horror is the Wendigo, a creature whose legend has transcended generations, finding new ways to be told in modern works such as the video game Until Dawn. More than just a monster, the Wendigo is a reflection of the dangers of desperation and the fragility of humanity when faced with its darkest instincts. That's why in this video, I will explain in detail the history and origins of the Wendigo, and to do so, I will summarize its story as told in the video game Until Dawn, as well as its origin and appearances in local legends and in movies or TV shows in this genre. Afterward, I will talk about its physical appearance, its personality, and its incredible known abilities and weaknesses. The story of the Wendigos begins centuries ago, in ancient times, when the Cree tribe inhabited the remote Blackwood Mountains, a region of great natural beauty, but also dark secrets. The members of this tribe were known for their wisdom in managing the land and their respect for spiritual traditions. Among these traditions, there was a deeply rooted belief, the existence of an evil spirit that dwelled in the mountains, known as the Wendigo. The Wendigo was not just a mythical creature, but a monster that emerged from extreme desperation and human evil. According to legend, if someone resorted to cannibalism to survive, the Wendigo would be born. This being not only fed on human flesh, but absorbed the essence of those who allowed it, becoming an abomination, stronger and crueler with every life it took. Wendigos were characterized by extremely thin bodies, superhuman strength, and an insatiable hunger that could never be satisfied. The tribe feared this fate and had rituals and taboos to avoid falling into the temptation of cannibalism, as if any member of the tribe gave in, the Wendigo would be unleashed. In fact, the shamans of the tribe performed purification rites to ward off the curse of the ancestors, but they knew the evil could awaken at any moment. In 1952, the tranquility of the region was disrupted by an event that would activate the curse irreversibly. The North Mining Company, a mining company, began exploring the mountains for valuable resources, ignoring the warnings of the natives about the supernatural dangers of the area. Despite stories of strange disappearances and unexplained phenomena, the company continued with its operations. During one of the excavations, an accident occurred in the mine, trapping 30 miners deep within the mountain. The miners were trapped for days, with no food or means of escape, and over time, their desperation led them to make extreme decisions. Some began to consume the bodies of their fellow miners to survive, falling into the same deadly trap that had created the curse. Little by little, these men transformed into Wendigos. Those who did not fall into this transformation died in the depths, their bodies consumed, leaving behind only chaos and darkness. When they were finally rescued, authorities thought most of the miners had died in the accident or from hunger. However, a small number of them had survived, but they did not return as humans. These survivors, now changed into bloodthirsty creatures, began attacking and devouring everyone who crossed their path, unleashing a series of massacres in the region. To contain the survivors, authorities decided to take them to a sanatorium in the Blackwood Mountains, hoping they could be treated for some illness or mental trauma. But the sanatorium was not a safe refuge. The patients began showing strange symptoms, and Dr. Alan Hill, the head of the sanatorium, attempted to study and control the behavior of these patients. However, he soon discovered that the subjects were transforming back into Wendigos, and the worst part, the infected could no longer be controlled. Dr. Hill, desperate, attempted an experimental treatment to stop the spread of the curse, but it was too late. The patients broke free, and the sanatorium was devastated in a horrible massacre. Hill was one of the few survivors, but his mind was completely shattered by what he had witnessed. In 2014, Hannah and Beth Washington, two young sisters from a wealthy family who owned a cabin in the Blackwood Mountains, became the victims of a cruel prank. A group of friends played a mean trick on them, causing Hannah, embarrassed, to flee alone into the forest in the middle of a snowstorm. Beth immediately went after her, but what seemed like a getaway from a prank would soon turn into a fatal tragedy. Something else was in the forest with them, and as that thing pursued them, Hannah and Beth fell off a cliff. Beth died instantly, but Hannah, who survived the fall, was trapped between the rocks. As hours passed and hunger began to take its toll, Hannah was forced to consume her sister's body to avoid starving to death. This desperate decision awakened the ancient curse. Hannah, by eating human flesh, transformed into a Wendigo. With her human memories and emotions fading away, only the insatiable desire to hunt and devour those who came near the mountain remained. This story advances a year after the tragedy that struck the Washington sisters. In 2015, Josh Washington, the brother of Hannah and Beth, organizes a reunion with his closest friends to commemorate the first anniversary of his sister's disappearance. The reunion takes place in the Washington family cabin in the same Blackwood Mountains. That night, things take a macabre turn when Josh, in an attempt to lighten the mood, decides to play a prank. Using a mask and a series of sinister tools, he dresses up as a masked killer. His plan was to scare his friends, but the situation quickly spirals out of control. The atmosphere becomes tense as the friends begin to fear not only the prank, but something darker lurking in the air. This triggers a series of desperate confrontations, where the characters must fight for their lives while trying to eliminate the monsters before being devoured. At this point, the survivors realize that what is happening to them is not just a prank or a game. They are trapped in a deadly battle and terror is imminent. In their attempts to survive, the group discovers the old sanatorium of the miners, now turned into a nightmare place full of Wendigos still hunting. Intense battles and survival moments ensue, where the characters are constantly stalked and attacked by the grotesque beings that inhabit the mountain. The tension peaks as they face the reality that not everyone will make it out alive. When it seemed all hope was lost, a strange man appeared before them. This man, known as the Hunter, is one of the few descendants of the Cree who still knew the stories and rituals, and who decided to dedicate himself to hunting and containing the Wendigos. For decades, he lived isolated in the mountains, using traps and special weapons to keep these creatures under control and protect those who ventured into the area. He tells the young people that after the incidents with the miners transformed into Wendigos, the Blackwood Sanatorium became a place marked by tragedies. For years, doctors and staff tried to contain the Wendigos by locking them in cages and conducting experiments to understand their nature. However, the situation got out of control when some Wendigos escaped, killing several doctors and patients. This led to the permanent closure of the sanatorium, leaving the facilities abandoned and filled with documents, recordings, and notes about the creatures. These notes, written by the doctors and later compiled by the Hunter, reveal important details about the Wendigos. They mention that the transformation is irreversible. Once someone consumes human flesh on the mountain, the spirit of the Wendigo completely corrupts them. It also says that Wendigos are thin and disfigured with pale, stretched skin. Their eyes are sunken, but they develop remarkable vision that allows them to detect movement even in complete darkness. They are incredibly fast, strong, and almost impossible to kill. Only intense fire or extreme damage can destroy their body, but this does not destroy the spirit of the Wendigo, which remains free to seek a new host. This is how the Hunter, who lived on the mountain, took the responsibility of hunting and containing the Wendigos. Armed with traps and a vast knowledge of the creatures, he spent years tracking them and preventing them from escaping the underground caves. However, Hannah Washington's transformation into a Wendigo was something that caught him by surprise, as he did not expect anyone else to trigger the curse. In his notes, the Hunter also explains how the caves beneath the mountain are infested with Wendigos, partly because the collapse of the mines left many of the former miners trapped there. This detail emphasizes that there isn't just one Wendigo, but multiple creatures on the mountain, increasing the danger for anyone who ventures there. Unfortunately, the hunter ends up dying at the hands of the Wendigos while protecting the young people. They eventually decide that the only way to end the creatures is by gathering them and setting the cabin on fire. One of the young people, in a last-ditch attempt to save his friends, attracts the attention of the Wendigos so that they can escape one by one. In the end, one of the girls creates a spark with one of the cabin's lights, causing an explosion due to a previously broken gas pipe. This incinerates the creatures, releasing their spirits, and finally ending the nightmare. Now that we've thoroughly covered their story, I want to talk about the Wendigo's physical appearance, what we know about its personality and behavior, and then I'll discuss its incredible abilities and known weaknesses. The physical appearance of the Wendigo is grotesque and terrifying, designed to evoke fear and desperation. This creature has a mix of human and monstrous features, making it even more disturbing. Wendigos have a thin, disproportionate skeletal structure. Their face is one of the most terrifying parts. It has distorted human features with a prominent, sharp jaw, as if it is in a constant state of decomposition. The eyes are generally empty or glow with an unnatural gleam, giving them an air of malevolence. The skin on the face is torn, showing signs of rot, indicating its monstrous nature. The Wendigo's hands end in sharp, long claws, allowing it to rip and tear its victims with ease. The mouth is full of sharp, elongated teeth capable of devouring human flesh, reinforcing its predatory nature. The Wendigo's skin seems pale and cadaverous, similar to that of a person who is malnourished or has died from hunger. Some versions show fissures or cracks in the skin, as if it is drying out or decomposing. The texture appears dry and rough, giving it an even more desolate appearance. Its posture is hunched, almost as if it is bent forward due to the length of its arms and legs. The movements of a Wendigo are erratic, fast, and animalistic, reflecting its wild nature and ability to vanish into darkness almost ghost-like. Although it is not a creature that speaks or expresses emotions in a human way, its actions and nature reflect a set of characteristics that make it a fearsome and psychological adversary. The Wendigo is driven by a primordial survival instinct, making it an extremely aggressive and ruthless creature. Its need to feed on human flesh drives it to relentlessly hunt survivors. Wendigos do not hunt only out of hunger, but also due to a compulsive need for human flesh. After transforming into these creatures, they develop an addiction to human flesh, making them almost uncontrollable. The Wendigo is an extremely stealthy predator. It stalks its victims in the dark, using its environment to hide and move in an almost ghostly manner. Although Wendigos are not human, they possess a form of animal intelligence that allows them to strategize when hunting their prey. One of the most disturbing characteristics of the Wendigos is their total lack of empathy. Although they were originally human, the Wendigo has stripped away any trace of humanity. This makes them sadistic and cold creatures, showing no compassion for their victims, even if they are family members or close friends. Wendigos possess surprising speed and agility. They are capable of moving quickly through the rugged terrain of the mountains and can easily catch their prey. Wendigos have highly developed senses, especially their hearing and smell. This allows them to track their prey through sounds or even scent. They can detect any movement nearby, giving them a significant advantage when hunting. Wendigos are experts at moving through the shadows. They can disappear from their prey's sight and move quickly through the forest or the mountain ruins without being detected. Their ability to disappear and reappear gives them a considerable advantage, as they can surprise their prey before they have a chance to react. Wendigos possess impressive physical strength, allowing them to easily overpower humans. They can break doors, tear down walls, and even drag their victims with great ease. This power makes them terrifying in close combat, where they can crush any opponent that crosses their path. Wendigos have rapid regeneration abilities, allowing them to heal from wounds relatively quickly. While this does not make them invulnerable, it gives them a significant advantage, as they can recover from attacks if not enough damage is inflicted to completely destroy them. Another ability they have is the capacity to mimic human voices to lure their victims. The lethal power of fire is one of the main weaknesses of Wendigos. Despite their great resistance, fire can completely destroy them. Intense flames, such as torches or even a flamethrower, can be used to scare them off or even kill them. This weakness to fire is essential for defeating Wendigos in critical situations. Although not as deadly as fire, intense light also affects Wendigos, as it seems to disorient them and make them retreat. The bright light prevents them from moving efficiently or even hiding in the shadows. Although the Wendigo needs human flesh to survive, this need can be a vulnerability. If it is not allowed to feed, its power weakens. The first transformation of a Wendigo, when it still retains some human characteristics, is more vulnerable than its fully disfigured forms. If the survivors manage to attack a Wendigo in its early state, they might have a better chance of killing it before it becomes an even more unstoppable monster. Last but not least, Wendigos are capable of perceiving even the slightest movement, but this causes them to be unable to detect their prey if they remain still and do not move. Although it's not ideal, it is one of the best tactics when facing these creatures. The Wendigo is a creature primarily associated with the regions of North America, particularly in areas where the Algonquin tribes have historically lived or currently inhabit. The Wendigo legend is deeply connected to the geography of the North and the wild, mountainous landscapes, such as the dense forests and frozen regions of northern Canada and the northeastern United States. Northern Canada is the main region where the Wendigo is believed to reside, particularly in areas of the provinces of Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba, and the Northwest Territories. These areas are covered by vast boreal forests, tundras, and mountains, and are known for their long, harsh winters. The Algonquin tribes living in these regions, such as the Cree, Ojibwe, and Inuit, have passed down stories of the Wendigo for generations, tied to these inhospitable landscapes. The northeastern regions of the United States, particularly in the states of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Michigan, and Minnesota, are also traditionally associated with Wendigos. The Great Lakes region is another important area in Wendigo mythology, especially the areas near Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and Lake Ontario. Although the Wendigo is primarily known in North America, some modern versions of the legends have placed it in more western areas, such as the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, Montana, or Wyoming. Today, encounters with the Wendigo are not limited to legends alone, as they are also reported in modern witness accounts, especially in remote and sparsely populated areas. In some cases, contemporary stories have been influenced by psychological horror and folklore, as seen in movies and video games. And well, that would be all we know so far about the monstrous entity known as the Wendigo. The first time I came across this creature was in the series Supernatural, when Sam and Dean Winchester were searching for their father using his journal, and one of the first creatures they encountered was a Wendigo that had attacked some young campers. I really found it incredible. Not so much the creature, but the journal they had. The idea of a book or text that teaches you about the supernatural and how to fight it seemed brilliant, one of the many reasons I started this channel. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you already know about the Wendigo? Do you think they really exist or existed? Or is it just a legend to scare away the curious? And finally, if something similar happened to you, would you be able to do the unthinkable to survive without food in the winter? Share your answers to these questions and your general thoughts about the Wendigo in the intriguing and terrifying universe of Until Dawn. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, share it to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos.